Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on quite a fascinating exploration. We've got this collection of notes and excerpts.
Yeah, all centered around this legendary artifact, the sun god's heart.
Exactly.
And what strikes you immediately, I think, is just how varied these sources are. You get these, really vivid descriptions of ancient places, but then also these really tense personal moments.
Right, like high stakes personal drama mixed in with adventure.
It definitely suggests a quest where the stakes are, well, deeply human.
So the mission for you, our listener, is to join us as we try to navigate this story. We're going to pull out the key players, figure out what makes them tick.
And try to grasp what the sun god's heart is all about, based only on these pieces of information we have.
Think of it as a shortcut. Yeah, getting to the core of this whole thing.
And we should probably say up front, it looks like a work of fiction.
Oh, for sure.
But, the way it's woven together, there are some really compelling bits about history, motivation, that whole fascination with lost worlds. It's rich stuff.
Okay, so let's dive in. Where does it all begin?
It seems to kick off with a character named Cassidy Reyes and a specific discovery.
That's right. The story opens with Cassidy finding these hieroglyphs, a sun, an ankh, a falcon. And for her, apparently, this clicks immediately.
Clicks how?
She recognizes them as like a pointer towards a map, Ray's amulet, it's called. And the text really emphasizes her reaction. Her stomach flips, her heart's racing.
So it hits her hard. It's not just an academic thing.
Not at all. It feels instantly personal, instantly important to her.
It's interesting, even in fiction, how it shows the importance of actually understanding these ancient symbols, doesn't it? And it seems like she's got more than just book smarts here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Later in that same bit, we see her actually doing things. She's recarving glyphs, messing with some central symbol, making walls actually move.
Wow. Okay. So she's hands-on.
Very. It suggests maybe a deeper connection, maybe family history, something beyond just deciphering text. Okay, so Cassidy's got the skills and this powerful discovery pushing her forward. This theme of, chasing the past seems to pop up again with another character, James Raven McAllister.
Yeah, we shift scenes completely. We find Raven in Peru sitting in a rooftop cafe.
Peru. Okay, interesting location connection already.
Right, and he's looking at this old, worn photo. His parents apparently standing near a museum.
So another personal connection to the past, maybe to artifacts.
Seems likely. And the description, the flamenco music, the old buildings, the heat, it really sets a mood. History, maybe a bit of intrigue in the air.
And it puts him geographically in the same ballpark as Cassidy's discovery, suggesting their paths might cross soon.
Exactly. The stage seems set.
Now, this object they're presumably both after, this heart, what do we learn about its significance early on?
Well, the first time it's mentioned, another character, Calderon, reacts really strongly, like a mix of awe and fear.
Fear. Okay, that tells you something.
Right. It's not just some valuable necklace. And then we find out Cassidy's connection is incredibly personal. Her mother actually died looking for it.
Whoa.
And her father was, deeply affected. So this quest for Cassidy is layered with grief and family history.
So it's redemption, or answers, maybe, not just treasure hunting. What specifics does Calderon give about the relic itself?
He says it's gold, forged for the sun god Viracocha.
Viracocha, Tiwanaku, or Inca.
Tiwanaku, actually. Pre-Inca, the belief was that it housed like a divine essence. And these Tiwanaku texts apparently suggested it could be used to commune with celestial forces.
Communicate with the gods. Or stars.
Okay.
That's powerful stuff.
Immensely powerful, potentially. Adds this whole spiritual, almost mystical layer to it. The Tiwanaku connection gives it real historical depth, too, beyond just the Inca.
A divine essence.
Yeah.
Celestial communion.
Wow. What would people back then have thought an object like that could do? And Cassidy's mother, she had her own take on it, didn't she?
Yeah, her mother apparently said it was not just treasure, the truth under centuries of silence. The truth. So lost knowledge. Secrets.
Exactly. Suggests she saw it as holding something profound, maybe something that could rewrite history. So it's a quest for knowledge, too, not just gold or power.
Which definitely raises the stakes. And it sounds like conflict is brewing already. Talk of a rivalry.
Oh, yeah. Calderon straight up warns Cassidy she's in a race against Raven.
He does. How does he describe Raven?
Calls him ruthless, someone who'd tear through sacred ground to get what he wants. Doesn't care about preservation, apparently.
Okay, so a clear antagonist, or at least a serious competitor.
Immediately sets up that dynamic. High-stakes competition.
And Cassidy's reaction.
Just pure determination.
Yeah.
Then I'll get there first.
No messing around.
Nope. Shows her own willpower. It's game on.
Calderon seems to be on her side, though. How's he planning to help?
He mentions he's giving a lecture at the Museo Nacional in Lima.
Okay, strategy.
Yeah, he says he'll give him access to their archives, maybe private collections too. He wants to research the heart's history, trace its path from Tiwanaku to the Inca.
Trying to find clues in its past movements? Smart.
Could be crucial. Historical context might unlock its location.
And he gives another warning about Raven.
Confirms Raven is definitely in Peru too. Reinforces that she's not alone, the competition is right there.
Okay, so the race is on in Peru, but then the narrative jumps again, right, to Eduardo Rios in Patagonia.
Yeah, totally different scene. We find Rios descending into this dangerous-looking cave in Patagonia with his mentor, a guy named Campos.
Patagonia. Wow. That's rugged. Why is he down there?
The text says he's trying to restore his reputation. Apparently, something called the Quito incident damaged it badly.
Quito incident. Vague, but suggests a major screw-up.
Yeah, something went wrong. Finding whatever they're looking for in this cave is his way back, he thinks. Redemption through discovery.
And we get a little insight into his character there, too, don't we? During a dangerous moment.
Yes, there's this near-fatal accident. Campos is in trouble, and Rios hesitates. Campos even accuses him, "You almost let me fall."
Ouch. And Rios' response.
Chilling, really. He just says, "So did I."
Wow. Okay, reveals a darker side. Self-serving, maybe. Unlike Cassidy's motivation.
Seems that way. A definite contrast being set up.
So it feels inevitable Cassidy and Raven are going to meet. What happens when they finally do at that museum in Lima?
It happens, yeah. The Museo Nacional, it's sort of framed as professional, but you can feel the tension underneath.
How so?
Raven acknowledges her mission, knows what she's after, and he says something pointed, like, "You're not the enemy, not yet."
Not yet. Ooh, loaded phrase. Leaves the door open for anything, really. Rivalry, maybe something else.
Exactly. It's complex right from the start.
And someone named Soto pops up there, too, with some interesting info.
Yeah, Soto seems to be connected, maybe customs or something. He mentions this intercepted crate, weird Incan stone fragments inlaid with gold.
Okay. In the connection.
He names Eduardo Rios as the guy arranging shipment for a buyer in Morocco.
Rios again. So he might be involved in shady dealings? Artifact smuggling, perhaps? Adds another layer to him?
Definitely paints him in a less than reputable light.
Right. Then Cassidy heads back to London, to her family home. What does that add?
It really grounds her story. The villa is full of memories of her mother, Dr. Nina Reyes, explorer, scholar, obsessed with the sun god's heart.
So the obsession runs in the family.
Deeply. Cassidy finds her mother's old study packed with journals, research. She's literally stepping into her mother's legacy. It's powerful stuff.
And there's some urgency introduced there too, right? A time frame?
Yeah, her friend or colleague Carl mentions it. He says Raven seems focused on a 7-day window, something to do with an eclipse.
An eclipse. Okay, adds a ticking clock. Celestial connection again.
Exactly. It really ramps up the pressure on Cassidy.
And it reinforces that her quest isn't just about the artifact itself, is it?
No. Fundamentally, she wants to understand what happened to her mother. That's the core motivation driving her through all this danger and complexity.
Her father's reaction is interesting, too. Hesitant at first.
Very. Doesn't want to revisit the painful past. But he eventually warns her, tells her about other people looking for the heart mercenaries, governments, collectors.
Paints a picture of a very dangerous game.
Absolutely. And then, significantly, he gives her Nina's notebook.
Her mother's notebook. Wow.
Right.
A big gesture.
Huge. It's like passing the torch, but also maybe giving her the key her mother never found.
Meanwhile, Rios shows up in London, too. They're all converging. What's he doing there?
Seems like he's tracking his rivals. The text says he's determined to get the heart before Cassidy, and someone else he calls a mercenary in a professor's suit.
Mercenary in a professor's suit. Wonder who that is. Raven, maybe?
Could be. He clearly sees them both as major obstacles.
Back at the villa, something dramatic happens. A scream.
Yeah, scream in the night. It seems to just galvanize Cassidy.
Like a reminder of the danger.
Or the stakes. It makes her even more determined.
And her immediate action.
She starts packing her mother's research, almost like a ritual, and she says, "I'll finish it, Mother."
Wow. Deep commitment there.
Undeniable.
Okay, the scene shifts again. A private auction. What's Rios doing there?
He makes a big entrance. Very theatrical. His presence alone seems to intimidate people. It's a power play.
Showing off his wealth and influence.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He forces the auctioneer to start bidding on a Mayan mask at, like, £2 million.
Just throws his weight around.
Completely. Shows he's got deep pockets and a ruthless streak when it comes to getting what he wants.
And he gets the mask.
Oh, yeah. Pays a fortune for it. 15.7 million pounds.
Jeez. Okay, so he has serious resources. Not someone to underestimate.
Not at all.
Before Cassidy leaves London, though, there's another conversation with her father. Still tense.
Very tense. He basically says he thinks she's chasing a ghost, just like her mother did. Admits he got caught up in Nina's belief back then.
Worried history is repeating itself.
Exactly. And he fears the heart itself is dangerous.
Wow, so...
Calls it a potential weapon. Doubles down on the danger she's walking into.
But despite all that worry, he gives her something else.
Yeah, one last thing. Nina's notebook from the very night before she left on her final trip.
Oh, wow. That's incredibly poignant, heavy.
A really significant emotional moment. A final piece of her mother's journey.
Then, kind of randomly, Cassidy finds a bracelet in a market.
Seems that way, just browsing, and she spots this bracelet covered in glyphs.
Glyphs again, and it feels special.
Yeah, the text says she feels this otherworldly energy from it. Hints it might be important, maybe connected somehow.
More mysteries piling up. And a vendor gives her a warning.
Bit ominous, yeah. Warns her lots of people have searched for the sun god's heart, hinting it's a dangerous path.
Foreshadowing, perhaps. Okay, so then she's back in Lima, digging into archives. What's she looking for there?
She's trying to find solid historical evidence, right? Something concrete about the heart, its origins, where it might be, moving beyond just legend.
Does she find anything useful?
She does. Finds a book, Incan relics and their lore, and inside there's a picture of a sun-shaped pendant.
Matching the descriptions.
Apparently, yes. Strikingly similar.
Mm.
And she finds digital stuff, too. Tales about it granting immortality, descriptions of rituals.
So visual confirmation mixed with more legend deepens the mystery.
Exactly. It's not getting simpler.
This research leads her to give a lecture at the museum again.
Yeah, she presents her findings, talks about the heart, its supposed powers, the story that the Inca hid it from the Spanish.
Kind of putting herself out there as a major player in this search.
Definitely signals her position and what she knows, or thinks she knows.
And guess who shows up during the lecture?
No surprise, really. Raven makes his entrance.
Dramatic timing.
Very calculated, it seems.
Yeah.
Creates this instant tension in the room, draws Cassidy's eye. He's making his presence known.
How do they interact afterwards? Still that tense professional vibe.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He compliments her lecture, but it feels like they're sizing each other up again. Aware they're after the same thing. Potential rivals, potential something else.
Okay, now we meet some new characters, journalists in Lima. Isabella and Samuel.
Right. They know about Cassidy's father, his old theories about the heart that got discredited.
And Isabella has a personal stake.
Yeah, her own father apparently believed in it too, and it ruined him financially. So for her, it's personal and professional. They want to find proof about the heart.
But it sounds risky for them, too.
Definitely. Isabella gets a threatening message. Someone doesn't want them digging into this.
So the danger isn't just for the treasure hunters. The truth itself is dangerous.
Seems that way. Information is power, and someone wants to control it.
Calderon pops up in Lima again, but meeting with Raven this time?
Yeah, a clandestine meeting. Calderon gives him some cryptic advice, kind of probes his motives for seeking the heart.
Suggests maybe Calderon plays multiple sides, or just knows everyone.
Hard to tell. But there's clearly some history or understanding between them.
And Cassidy has a meeting too. Who with?
She meets Carl, her associate. And the big reveal is that Calderon is also in Lima, and he's now officially part of their team.
Okay, so Calderon has chosen a side, or seems to have. Cassidy's team is solidifying.
Looks like it. A coordinated effort is taking shape.
Meanwhile, Raven's doing his own research with Marco.
Yeah, they're poring over this manuscript, Mayan symbols, pre-Incan symbols.
Nix. Interesting.
Raven seems convinced this document is the real key. The proof the heart isn't just a myth, and their goal is clear. Beat Cassidy Reyes to it.
The race is definitely heating up. Cassidy makes another small discovery while looking at an illustration.
Yeah, studying this old colonial drawing of the heart, she notices something tiny at the base.
What is it?
3 little glyphs, older looking than the rest. Not Inca.
Cree-Inca again, like the Tiwanaku connection.
Exactly. Hence, the relic's origins are much, much older. Could be a massive clue about where it's really from or hidden.
Then things escalate. Rios confronts Cassidy directly.
Yep, he finds her, threatens her and her team. Straight up intimidation.
Does it get physical?
Carl steps in before it can. But it's tense. And right after, Calderon reveals his manuscript research suggests their target location is ancient and heavily protected.
Protected how? Physically? Mystically?
Unclear, but the warning prompts them to move faster. They think they've had a breakthrough.
Isabella, the journalist, is still around, right? Watching them.
She is.
Yeah.
She sees Cassidy in the hotel lobby, looking like she's figured something out, and Isabella concludes Cassidy thinks she knows the locations of the Temple of Inti.
So Isabella decides to follow them for the story.
Secretly tails Cassidy, Carl, and Calderon as they leave the hotel. Journalistic instinct, or maybe something more complex, is driving her now.
Okay, so they head to Cusco, but trouble finds them at the hotel there too.
Big trouble. Cassidy overhears something alarming. Through events, sounds like they're about to be ambushed.
And are they?
Yeah, it turns violent fast. An encounter in the hallway, they have to fight their way out. Cassidy even uses a weapon.
Wow, things are getting serious.
They barely escape, have to leave people behind in the chaos. It's a desperate flight.
Rios is in Cusco too, right? Does he know they escaped?
He knows they're on the move, but he makes a strategic choice. Let them go. Let them lead the way.
Why? What's his angle now?
We get his backstory then. His wife and child died on some expedition he trusted.
Oh, tragic.
And he blames someone or something connected to the heart. He wants revenge or answers. He'll use Cassidy to get him there. It's deeply personal for him, too, but twisted.
Okay, so everyone's heading towards the same goal, but separately. Raven and Marco are on a train. What happens there?
Raven gets this really worrying call from his sister. Sounds like he owes dangerous people a lot of money.
Loan sharks. Gangsters.
Implied, yeah. His promises aren't cutting it anymore. Adds this whole other layer of pressure on him. He needs the heart, maybe for financial reasons, too.
Cassidy, Carl, and Calderon are traveling differently.
By vehicle. And they decide to split up again near Lake Titicaca. Tactical move.
Why split?
Harder to track them all. Calderon goes to Puno for more archive research.
Always the researcher.
While Cassidy and Carl stick together, pushing onwards.
And on their route, Cassidy and Carl find something. And have a chat.
They find this old carved totem. Suggests they're in a significant area. And Carl kind of probes Cassidy about Raven.
Asks about her feelings.
Yeah, he senses something's going on there. And Cassidy admits Raven's a liability, but maybe more. She's conflicted. And then they realize they're being watched in the jungle.
Never safe. Constant paranoia.
Adds to the tension.
Raven and Marco are also in the Highlands. What's Raven focused on?
Catching Cassidy. Still laser focused on beating her there.
Marco notices this focus.
Yeah, Marco seems a bit wary. Questions Raven's trust in Cassidy, maybe senses the personal feelings are clouding his judgment.
How does Raven react?
Gets defensive. She knows what she's doing. Doesn't really answer the question, does it?
Not really. Okay, the journey itself sounds brutal. What kind of obstacles?
Serious stuff. Cassidy and Carl find a bridge washed out, have to build a makeshift raft across a river. Shows their grit.
Resourceful.
Meanwhile, Raven and Marco take a shortcut through a dangerous ravine. Raven's pushing the limits, taking risks.
And just building the raft is dangerous in the jungle, right?
Yeah. Hazards everywhere, snakes, insects, the terrain itself.
As they finally get close to the temple site, what's the mood?
Raven's thoughts are apparently on Cassidy, but also revenge. It's getting complicated for him. Cassidy and Carl have a scare, the venomous snake bite.
Oh no, is it serious?
The text doesn't linger, implies they manage it. But then Cassidy gets this important call from her father.
What does he say? More warnings.
Some warnings, yeah, but also support. He shares Nina's belief the heart reveals itself to the worthy. Tells Cassidy not to just be her mother's shadow, but find her own truth. It's a key moment for her.
And then they arrive, Cassidy, Carl, and Calderon.
They reunite at this broken temple entrance. Find glyphs talking about a heart of fire. They feel close.
But then an unexpected arrival. Diego.
Yeah, this guy Diego just appears, drops a bombshell. The relic isn't just a relic, it's a cage.
A cage? For what?
Doesn't say initially. But he warns Rios plans to exploit it somehow. And he offers to help them stop Rios. Tells him to head to San Miguel.
Another twist. Okay, so they need to decide whether to trust him. And then they actually reach the main temple site. And run into Raven again.
They do. Cassidy, Calderon, and Carl approach the temple, find Raven and Marco already there. It's tense.
But they team up against Rios.
Seems like they have to. Calderon pushes for it. Rios is the common enemy now. Despite their history, Cassidy and Raven have to cooperate.
And this forced alliance leads to a discovery, and maybe something else.
Yeah, Raven spots this faded emblem, 2 serpents around a sun. Cassidy recognizes it, mark of guardian priestesses. Protection, sacrifice.
Priestesses? Adds another layer.
Raven then shares something his grandfather believed, that opening the temple requires understanding the burden of guarding the truth. It resonates.
And Cassidy impresses Raven with her knowledge.
Definitely. Deciphering symbols, understanding the history. And yeah, the text describes this moment between them. Dim light, shared purpose, undeniable attraction.
Ah, so the connection's getting real, despite everything.
Seems that way. Very complicated.
They follow Diego's advice and go to San Miguel. What's it like?
Seems like a peaceful little village, a brief respite. The group shares a meal. Cassidy and Raven even dance.
A dance. Okay, things are definitely shifting.
Marco's watching them, looking amused, maybe a bit worried. It's clearly developing into something serious.
But the peace doesn't last, does it? Something happens. A betrayal.
The ground literally shakes. Isabella falls into a sinkhole, revealing she was with Raven and Marco all along.
She was hiding with them. Wow, what does she do?
Contacts her partner Samuel. She's torn the story versus Cassidy's safety. She delays publishing, digs deeper, finds stuff about Nina Reyes and Rios.
And realizes
Rios might have been involved in Nina's death. That Cassidy's in incredible danger from him.
the danger becomes very real, very fast. The arrow attack.
Yeah, Raven's crossing this rickety rope bridge. Suddenly arrows fly past him.
Who's shooting? Rio's men.
Presumably. Cassidy reacts instantly, saves him from falling. It's a moment of pure instinct, shared vulnerability.
And they start using first names then, James and Cassidy.
Yes, a subtle shift, but significant. The barriers are coming down.
But the rivalry isn't totally gone. The map incident.
Nope. Turns out Raven nicked Cassidy's map. Leads to another tense argument. They still needle each other.
Old habits die hard.
But the dangerous terrain forces them back together. They have to cooperate to survive. Set some ground rules, no secrets, stick together.
And that playful, may the best team win at the end.
Yeah, acknowledges the competition is still there underneath the attraction and forced alliance.
Carl notices the sparks flying, though, teases them.
Oh yeah, calls them lovebirds. Cassidy's aware of Raven watching her too. The feelings are definitely simmering.
Barrios is closing in again. They have to move fast.
Raven senses it. They pack up camp in a hurry. And Raven tells Diego to watch Isabella closely.
Still doesn't trust her.
Seems not. Good instinct, maybe?
They reach another village, hoping for safety, but find betrayal instead. Isabella's article.
Yeah, they get to this village, need rest, supplies, and Cassidy finds the article online. Isabella published it.
Oh no, what did it say?
Revealed their location, twisted the story, basically painted Cassidy in a bad light. A total betrayal.
Why would she do that? After hesitating.
The confrontation reveals she was paid, manipulated by someone else who wanted to discredit Cassidy. She wasn't entirely in control.
But the damage is done. Rios arrives.
Right on cue. His men surround the place. Isabella tries to warn Cassidy, but it's too late. Rios bursts in, grabs Cassidy and Raven.
Captured. After everything.
That's bad.
But they escape. How?
Pretty daring. Jump out of a hotel window.
Obviously, okay. Desperate measures.
Leads to this intense chase through the jungle. They're working together now purely on survival instinct.
What about the others? Carl, Calderon.
Calderon sees Rios leaving with Cassidy and Raven. He figures out where Rios is likely heading, Vilcabamba.
The lost city. Makes sense.
So Calderon, Carl, and the others decide to follow, try to help, gather supplies, and head out.
Back in the jungle, Cassidy and Raven face more dangers. A jaguar!
Yeah, just a constant barrage of threats. The jaguar encounter is terrifying.
And after that tension, something shifts between them.
Big time. The text describes this really powerful, intimate moment. Then, they kiss.
Finally, okay. A major turning point.
Definitely seems like it. Feelings are out in the open now, but then they snap back to survival mode, agreeing to take turns watching guard. Practicality takes over.
What guides them next? Dreams, maps.
Cassidy has this weird, vivid dream she can't quite recall. Raven uses the Kupus, the map.
Yeah.
Figures out they're close to the temple.
And Nina's notes are key.
Yeah, Cassidy uses her mother's detailed notes, combined with Raven's understanding of Inca records, to plan their final approach.
And they find the ruins.
They do. And huge complex, way bigger than expected.
Yeah.
They're awestruck. Raven identifies it as an outpost guarding Vilcabamba itself.
So they're definitely in the right place. How do they get into the main temple?
Raven spots this tiny detail, leads them to a hidden crevice.
Clever.
Then inside, Cassidy uses Nina's notes again. Raven matches them to a mosaic. They find the main entrance. It's their combined skills unlocking it.
But it's dangerous inside, right from the start.
Immediately. Swarms of insects, claustrophobic passages, Cassidy nearly falls.
Raven saves her.
Yeah, grabs her just in time. But the whole experience, the bugs, the fall, triggers a panic attack for Cassidy.
Understandable. It sounds terrifying.
And Raven, he really steps up then.
How? What does he say?
He speaks from the heart, tells her how much he cares, that he won't let this quest consume her like it did her mother. It's a huge emotional moment for him, prioritizing her over the prize.
Wow. That's significant. Then Cassidy reveals something. Her mother's figurine.
Yeah, this little carved stone figure her father gave her. She feels like now's the time, holds on to it.
And does it do anything?
Not directly, but right after, they realize they're being watched again. They're not alone in there.
Still being pursued. Or is it something else? How do they find the heart itself?
They're being chased, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Find this hidden entrance shown on a mural, leads down to a lower sanctum. Desperate scramble into the darkness.
And down there.
They find it, a hidden chamber. And in the center, the sun god's heart, golden, seems to pulse like it's alive.
They actually found it after
Wow.
all that, but it's not over, is it?
Not even close.
Yeah.
The moment they find it, Rio's men jump them, ambush.
Capture. Again.
Yeah.
With the heart right there.
Taken to Rio's jungle camp. Cassidy's devastated. Raven's injured from the capture. It looks hopeless.
But in captivity, they have another moment. A confession.
Yeah, a really raw, vulnerable exchange. Raven tells her he loves her.
Wow. He says it.
And Cassidy says it back. They promise each other they'll get out, protect each other. Their bond is solidified.
And Raven reveals more about Rios and Nina.
He lays it all out. Nina and Rios were partners, romantically involved even back in the day. But Rios got greedy, obsessed with power.
And the worst part.
The absolute worst. When Nina got injured in the temple years ago, Rios just left her there. Abandoned her to die so he could take the heart.
Oh my God. He left her for dead. That's monstrous.
Explains his twisted obsession and why Cassidy needs to stop him.
So how do they escape this time?
They start planning. Cassidy remembers he used to pick locks with hairpins back in university.
Old skills come in handy. Does it work?
He does. She gets their shackles open. They make a plan. Split up. Cassidy goes to find Carl and the others. Raven tries to track Rios even though he's hurt.
Risky, but maybe their only chance. Any signs of hope?
A tiny one. Raven spots a faint signal on his watch. Maybe a communication relay nearby. A potential lifeline.
They head back towards the temple, using Nina's notes again.
Exactly. Their knowledge of the place is their advantage now. They reach the clearing, the ruins, back into the lion's den.
But more traps await. The ground gives way.
Yeah, Cassidy falls into a pit. The temple's still dangerous. And then Rios catches up again, pursuing them in boats on an underground lake.
A boat chase. Inside the temple. Wild.
Super dangerous. Rios is shooting at them. Eventually, his own boat crashes.
Is he?
Seems like he's out of the chase for now. Cassidy and Raven reach this island in the lake with a pedestal. Looks like the final spot.
But Rios survived the crash. He gets there too.
He does. Crawls onto the island, still determined to get the heart. The final showdown.
And then another trap. A flood.
Cassidy realizes the pedestal triggers it. Water starts pouring in, rising fast.
How do they escape that?
Desperate scramble. Cassidy finds a drainage grate just in time. Raven gets separated, but also finds a way out. They meet in another room. Soaked, but alive.
Unbelievable. But Rios is still there for the final confrontation.
He confronts Cassidy. Spills everything. His bitterness about Nina overshadowing him. His belief he deserves the heart's power.
And admits he left Nina.
Admits it right to Cassidy's face.
Chilling.
But Cassidy and Raven stand up to him. And then the whole place starts coming down.
The temple collapses because of the disturbance.
Yeah, the flood, the fight.
Yeah.
It destabilizes everything. Rios gets caught in the collapse, still clutching the heart.
So he's gone. Defeated by his own obsession and the temple itself.
Looks that way. Crushed by the very thing he craved.
Cassidy and Raven escape. In a boat.
Just barely escaping the collapsing ruins. But they think the heart is lost in the destruction.
All that, and the heart is gone.
That's what they think. A huge loss.
But wait, there's a twist. Raven saved it.
Miraculously, yes. Amidst all that chaos, he managed to grab the sun god's heart.
Incredible. What a relief. And Carl finds them.
Yeah, the reunion is pure relief, gratitude. Then the authorities show up, arrest Rios' remaining men. It's finally over.
Wow. Okay, so back home, Cassidy returns to England. How's things with her father?
It's a healing moment. He finally opens up fully about Nina, her first discovery of the manuscript, their relationship. Cassidy understands her quest wasn't just for her mother, but to connect with her.
Find some peace, some closure.
Yeah, looking through Nina's things together becomes a moment of connection, not just sadness.
And what about Raven? What's next for him and for them?
He gets offered a big promotion but turns it down, says he needs a vacation.
Understandable.
Then we see him and Cassidy together at the Museo Larco in Lima. They're donating the heart.
Donating it. Wow. Responsible choice.
Yeah, ensuring it's preserved. They reflect on the journey, their relationship. Isabella's there too.
Isabella. After the betrayal.
See if she made amends. Publish a respectful article focused on preservation. It hints at future adventures for Cassidy and Raven, maybe together romantically.
And a final detail. The gems.
Right. Raven reveals he also saved 2 little gems from Nina's rucksack that Cassidy had mentioned. Shows he understood their personal value to her. A really meaningful gesture for their shared future.
So, wrapping up this incredible deep dive, what are the big takeaways from this story?
Well, we follow this amazing journey, right? From finding clues, through deadly adventures, discovering the heart, facing down Rios.
A classic adventure structure, but with deep personal stakes.
Exactly. And woven through it all were the journeys of Cassidy and Raven, how they connected, how Cassidy found answers about her mother, her legacy.
And the big themes that stand out.
Legacy, definitely. The weight of the past, the search for truth, whatever that means, responsibility that comes with discovery.
And maybe the unexpected connections you make when you go through something intense together.
Absolutely. Those bonds forged in danger can be incredibly powerful and transformative.
It really is a compelling narrative. And maybe it leaves us with a thought for you, our listener. Sometimes the biggest discoveries aren't artifacts buried in the ground.
Yeah, sometimes they're about uncovering truths inside ourselves or finding those surprising connections with others along the way.
Maybe think about what truths you might be searching for in your own life.
And what unexpected discoveries could be waiting just around the corner.
Thank you for taking this deep dive with us.